It's 5:02, so we might start. So again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and very warm welcome to our webinar today. So we have this panel on country-led sustainability inclusive evaluations. And we want to reflect on Colombia's capacity development journey and new application of rubrics methodology with a footprint typology. And we are recording the session of today. So later we will be able to share this as well. So first of all, thank you for Footprint Evaluation Initiative for initiating this great panel, this room of exchange of joint learning. And also, of course, thank you to GEI for organizing the Glocal Evaluation Week. This is a very valuable space of South-South-North exchange. And I'm very happy to be here. My name is Anna Warnholz. I am evaluator at the DEVA, the German Institute of Development Evaluation, and I look forward to guiding you through the panel today. And yes, we have come together in the endeavor of bringing sustainability systematically into all types of evaluation. And to this end, we have a really exciting panel with esteemed experts and dear colleagues. I'm very happy to welcome Andy Rowe, Jane Davidson, Thomas Cianca, Jeff Vargas Gonzalez, Felipe Castro, and Viviana Bohórquez. And yes, at DEVA, we are very deeply convinced of the importance of considering sustainability systematically within country-led evaluations, because by that we can generate sustainable inclusive evidence that then can be used within decision-making. And this is how we can shape innovative and sustainable solution towards the challenges we are facing as a humanity currently. And to promote the adoption of environmental sustainable approaches in the context of country-led evaluations, we have been jointly, together with Footprint Evaluation Initiative, with GEI, been facilitating the first ever sustainability inclusive country-led evaluation that has been implemented by the Colombian National Planning Department, DNP. And yes, so since early 2024, we have been jointly supporting DNP in evaluating its national government IT systems. And we have been using this process as a pilot to explore the practical application of the sustainability inclusive approach, also known as the footprint evaluation approach. And for us, for DEVA, it has been a pleasure working alongside with DNP, with Footprint Evaluation Initiative, and has been a very insightful and exciting process. And as I mentioned, this is a pioneering exercise, and today we want to reflect on this journey together. So to this end, we want to incorporate the various perspectives of all stakeholders involved. So we have quite an exciting agenda for today. So first we will hear from DNP on their reflection, who were those for commissioning the evaluation. DNP is represented by Jeff Vargas today. Afterwards, we have scheduled an input from Ipsos, held by Felipe Castro. He's the leader of the evaluation team that conducted the evaluation. And then his input will be followed by Viviana Bohórquez from CarbonBox, the environmental expert who had the pleasure of implementing the approach on the ground. And afterwards, we were listening to Jane Davidson and Thomas Cianca from Footprint Evaluation Initiative, who will be sharing their what they call light bulb moments and a detailed methodological explanation of the application of the approach, very specific tools of the approach. And afterwards, Andy Rowe will be sharing his reflection on the collaborative work among the stakeholders involved and accompanying the DNP in its journey. So we have a lot on the agenda, but we will be finalizing with the Q&A session. So we have separated 30 minutes for that. So please use the chat, post your comments, your questions. I hope you have access to the chat. You can do this in Spanish, English, Portuguese. And yeah, we're very excited to engage in discussions. So, well, having said that, I have the honor to present Jeff Vargas Gonzalez to you. He's an economist with a master's degree in public policy from the Universidad de los Andes. He specializes in the design, development, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of policy, programs, and projects in various national and regional government entities. He's currently the evaluation leader of the Public Policy Monitoring and Evaluation Directorate of the National Planning Department in Colombia. And Jeff, you were very quick. You already shared your screen. That's perfect. So the floor is all yours. We're very excited to hear from your side, your perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, for the presentation. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I have a presentation, a short presentation, but first, many thanks to the Val for the invitation. For us, it's very important to share this work here. Today, I'm going to share Colombian experience applying the footprint approach for the first time in a public policy evaluation. This evaluation focuses on the operation on information system management by national government entities, especially those led by National Planning Department. It was made possible thanks to the support for Food Evaluation Initiative expert and Ipsos expert, Felipe and his team, who provide technical guidance and throw in-person workshops with relevant stakeholders, including technical teams, academia, among others. This support, it's because it's allowed us to understand what is the footprint approach is and how it can implement in different evaluation areas. In our case, these were the planning sector in Colombia. It was a strategic topic, but it must be evaluated under the approach since it will allow us to know what is the ecological footprint to use of the country's information system is, especially those of the DMP, the Planning Department, National Department. It's an important highlight because the application of this approach did not imply additional cost to the evaluation budget. This is very important, and this caused entities not to address new issues. This is particularly important as one of the main limitations of the incorporating new approaches is the limited budget available for conducting evaluators. And the second one is, why apply the footprint approach? Public policy evaluation traditionally measure effectiveness and efficiency, but often neglect environmental and sustainability. In the context, the assessment for sustainability development is an essential that we also ask ourselves. How do we integrate the footprint approach with the needs of the sector in the different areas? And in our case, in Colombia, how do we integrate into the country's information system? With this evaluation, we showed that we can incorporate a sustainability consideration among altering and the scope of the budget of the evaluation. In fact, doing so increased the relevance and in quality and the funding. Next is the methodology and support. In the methodology and support, our evaluation process, we support by food evaluation expert, Ipsos, and Felipe and the team, the Felipe expert, who helped us to apply the footprint methodology. I need to emphasize this. This methodology requires experts to guide the analysis. This is the main of the topic here, determining how to measure the approach. In addition, we held 2 in-person workshops in Colombia with the evaluation teams, DMP officials, and other government stakeholders to co-create insights and validate the findings. We released an existing data, including institutional sustainability report and operation indicators such as electricity and water consumptions. These variables were the key. Viviana talked about in the next theme more, but identify the approach. We also conduct a survey and national institution to have information system in operation. And this allows us to integrate environmental criteria into the evaluation of policy performance in a practical and cost-effective way. We have a key learning from evaluation. First, apply the footprint approach did not require additional funding. We are able to do within our existing budget. Second one, the approach add value to the evaluation, but including environmental perspective, make it the conclusion more comprehensive. Third, the workshop and expert support help increase awareness and technical skill among our team. It's very important, this part. We have a robust team, but this workshop help us to support them. And finally, we found the relevant environmental that exists, but it often is scared across different sources and not well integrated. We faced several key challenges during the process. One of them was a lack of detailed environmental data. Most indicators are aggregate and have no way clearly identify the footprint. Another challenge was the limited visibility of internal sustainability practice within institution. Many support are undocumented or poorly communicate. We also had difficult identifying who within the institution were responsible for environmental data, which create delay and uncertainty. In this part, it's very important who we address this challenge. The challenges to overcome on approximation and estimating cases where the data were lacking. One of the major challenges of the evaluation is accessing complete information. Without this information, it's very difficult to develop on-depth evaluation. Second one, we organized several workshops with our technical team to identify the better understanding obstacles we face. This workshop and meeting have with the Felipe's teams, the expert with the help in the implementation with evaluation. And in addition, we incorporate an external data source through interviews with information system management leader, which help validate and funding enhance their credibility. It's very important for this. If you don't have complete secondary evaluation, you should resort, if possible, primary evaluation. And what next for Colombia? Moving forward, Colombia aims to apply the footprint evaluation in other policy areas, including infrastructure, agriculture, energy. In fact, this year we already implemented an evaluation in agriculture sector, the footprint approach. We also plan to institutionalize the approach by integrating into our national monitoring and evaluation system Synergia. This material it is a platform. We are focused on the knowledge management, and we are publish our evaluation. Actually, for everyone, we'll see the result, the evaluation at the end of June in the platform in Synergia. In addition, we intend to expand our training program and continue collaborating with the international partners such as the Footprint Evaluation Initiative to further strengthen and practice the methodology. I don't have a lot of time, but final reflection. This is experience demonstrate the environmental footprint evaluation are not only possible, but also value and scalable. It's allow us to better align with the sustainability and development goals, particularly 13 on climate action and 16 in effective institution. Colombia's evaluation using the footprint approach offer a replicable model for other countries seeking the improved public policy assessment from sustainability perspective. And I think when I hope to our experience inspire others to take the first step, because evaluation better move government better. And this is the opportunity to show what the Felipe and Viviana presentation is the important for this, include this approach in the evaluation system. Thank you for your attention.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. That was so interesting, and thanks for sharing your journey in understanding and applying the footprint approach on ground. And it's really exciting to hear that you're already implementing a second exercise of footprint. So thank you so much. And yes, so we will go on to Felipe Castro. We're very excited to hear about your input as well. So he is the Director of Public Affairs at Institute Colombia. Felipe is an economist from Pontificia Universidad Javeriana and has a Master in Public Management and Governance from the London School of Economics and Political Science. He has held several key leadership positions in the national government, academia, political movements, and the private sector. So, Felipe, we are very eager to hear from your side. The floor is all yours. And yes.
Thank you, Anna, for the introduction. It's great to be here. And hopefully we can discuss how this evaluation approach that it's new in Colombia could help also our colleagues that are connected today to perform these types of evaluation. First, let me introduce a bit Ipsos. Maybe you're not aware of what Ipsos is about. We are a multinational market research and also a consulting firm. We provide information, data, insights to help our clients to make better decisions. We are not only present in Colombia, but also across the globe in 90 countries. And we have an area, a service line, we call it here, that it's focused on public affairs, on helping government institutions such as DMP in Colombia to understand how public policy is implemented and how public policy is impacting beneficiaries and are meeting the goals that are supposed to get through different policy interventions. In Colombia, we are focused on carrying out and developing public policy evaluations. We are used to assess different types of policies. And as you may be aware, evaluation requires a multidisciplinary teams. These are evaluations that include quantitative and also qualitative approach. So usually the teams that we gather up to carry out these types of evaluations include policy specialists, statisticians, economists, social research, among others. So for each evaluation that we need to carry out, it's very, very important to find the correct partners, the correct consultants, so that we can really understand what we are evaluating and we can meet the goals or the objectives of the evaluation. In this case, as Jeff mentioned before, we were conducting an evaluation of the IT systems for the national government in Colombia. This evaluation was very, very ambitious because it not only included the footprint approach, but it also had like a technical part that was aimed on characterizing the current ecosystems of the IT systems in the national level. And also we prioritized systems within the DMP to have a more in-depth understanding on how they were working. So this is very, very, very. It was a very ambitious evaluation because we need to set up a team that was able to understand how the IT systems work. We also needed a team that understand how to carry out an evaluation. How can we establish the correct evaluation questions, the data that we needed to answer those questions, and also, and this was our first experience carrying out these types of evaluation, this footprint evaluation, we needed to include this sustainability inclusive evaluation process, and we needed also to understand how to include the footprint evaluation within this whole framework. So it was really, really challenging. In Colombia, these evaluations are assigned on a competitive process, a bidding process. So when the DMP published the terms of reference of this evaluation, we started looking for different partners. We partner with two great organizations. The first one is Jobiplex. This is a system company that is focused on consulting services on IT, on strategy, on enterprise architecture and digital transformation. So they are the one that were expert on understanding how the IT systems work, because this is a complete different world. So we were not aware on the complexities on how the IT systems integrate and work together. So we needed a partner that was a specialist in this area. So Jobiplex joined the project. And after that, since we were the experts on evaluations and on data collections, we also needed somebody that was specialized on measuring the footprint and understanding the impact in terms of sustainability of the IT system. So that's where we met Viviana and the CarbonBox company, the platform. And Viviana is going to tell about how they perform this work after my intervention. But it was very important for us to get the right partners to carry out this project. We needed capacity to understand how to measure the footprint. We needed also the capacity to collect the data. This evaluation required a lot of data to really measure and determine the impact of the IT systems. And we also need systems engineers that understood how IT systems work and how we can also improve the work of the systems, not only regarding the sustainability approach, but also the functionality and the efficiency and the communications across the different IT systems. So fortunately, we were assigned this contract like 8-9 months ago. We started working together with DMP to frame the evaluation. It is very important when you carry out an evaluation to understand the intervention. We call it the value chain, in which we need to schematize what the policy or the intervention aims to do. What are the beneficiaries of that intervention? What are the changes that you want to produce on those beneficiaries, and to measure how the intervention is being done. So when we work on this value chain of the IT systems, it was very, very important that the sustainability component was not only something that was separate from the evaluation, but that was really, really integrated in the value chain. And this is a complete new mindset, because when we work with different engineers, they are not thinking about the impact on water consumption, on energy consumption. They are just thinking on how the system is giving support to the functions that is supposed to give support, and the confiability, and also how it can be really integrated into the DMP and to the different institutions. So this sustainability component, we needed to connect it with the value chain and to see how the IT systems work. So it was really challenging, not only for the evaluation team, but also for DMP and also for the engineers and the people that were in charge of how the IT systems work. So I think this is a key element, because for these evaluations to work out, it's very, very important that the people that are in charge of the programs, or in this case on the IT systems that were evaluated, they need to understand what sustainability is about, and they also need to understand that the policies and interventions are not only aiming to achieve those social objectives, but also they need to understand how this can cause different implications for the sustainability issue, and also how to measure them, because most of the time we are not aware of the impacts that the different interventions have. So it's very, very important for this to be included, not only as a separate measure, but also as part of the implementation of the program. And the other challenge in this evaluation on framing the evaluation, Jeff also mentioned it, was getting the right data, defining the indicators, and trying to identify how are we supposed to collect that data. And this is very important, because most of the time the data that is produced by the different systems not necessarily has this evaluation approach. So in our case, we had to carry out more than 100 interviews with different managers of IT systems. And also we did an online survey that collected more than 1,500 interviews to try to measure not only how the IT systems were working, but also we included a specific a component or a specific model of questions regarding these footprint measures. So it was very important to work together with Viviana's team to get the right questions, pilot those questions, and see if the person that were going to answer the interviews knew the answers and had the data available, so that we collect this data to have these measures. And additionally, we also need to consult different sources of secondary data to integrate what people were reporting, and also to include all the information regarding how the systems works, and also to have these measures. So just to wrap up, it was very challenging, but it was also very exciting. We were fortunate to have these good partners, Joeyplex and CarbonBox, and also as well DMP was really, really supportive with us to help us collect the data, to help us tell the different entities across government the importance of these evaluations. So I think all of these elements add up to perform this evaluation. We were able to carry out or to implement the methodology. We were able also to collect the right data and to have some exciting results that are an example of a new approach of evaluation in Colombia. We've been doing these types of evaluations for more than 15 years, but this is the first time we included a footprint evaluation. So for Ipsos, it was really, really exciting to be part of this project. And we also thank all of the colleagues that are in this panel, because the inputs that we received through this workshop that we had, and also the support of the DMP was very, very important to meet the results that we wanted with this evaluation. So I'll leave it there, and maybe in the Q&A session I could answer any doubts or complement some of the things I just mentioned. Thank you, Anna.
Thanks, Felipe. Very insightful hearing to your lessons learned and to see how you overcome the challenges you faced. So I think it's very inspiring seeing that this is possible and that you managed that. So thank you so much. And I'm sure we will come back on some points in the Q&A. So maybe just a small technical note. Apparently maybe some of you have problems entering in the chat. So please take notes of your questions and comments. And afterwards we will, you might turn on your microphone and camera and we will share them in the Q&A session directly. So make sure you write them down and we will come back to them later. So, Viviana, your name already appeared a lot. So she is the co-founder of CarbonBox and has supported Latin American governments in shaping climate policy and tracking emissions. As a co-founder of CarbonBox, she designs user-friendly tools that help organizations calculate carbon footprints and drive low-carbon sustainable action. Viviana, we're very eager to hear from your side. So go ahead, please.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you for the invitation and the event organizations. Well, as a context, I'm working with CarbonBox. CarbonBox is a software that calculates the carbon footprints for companies, projects, products, and events. We have done this kind of measures of impact for many, many years. So for us, it's a challenge. Of course, all of the participants have already mentioned that it was a really challenge to carry out actually the first evaluation of this type in Colombia. In Colombia, we are starting to implement sustainability in many areas that are not very common. For example, IT systems. Normally, environmental impacts are focused or are very seen in, for example, agriculture, energy, and industrial sector. But IT system is very weird in Colombia, and actually we found that is very specific actually in the world. It's not easy to get, for example, reference of this kind of impact evaluations or actually environmental impact of IT systems. And of course, it depends of the magnitude and it depends of how big and what is the stakeholder of the company that is carry out this kind of system. So I bring 4 points for this panel. The first is how we decide what to measure. So in IT system, we have how it's not very common to carry out this kind of environmental evaluations. We had like many types of impacts that we can associate with environmental systems, like greenhouse gases emissions, water use, electronic waste management. Also, we can think in, for example, many types of environmental impacts, and we decide the dimensions of this in terms of significance in the digital industries, and how we can align this with a life cycle assessment methodology. Because at the beginning, and because our background, we encourage to always follow the standardization, international standardization, and one of the of these methodologies is the life cycle assessment. Even though the life cycle assessment is one of the most difficult methodologies to apply, because we have to take account, since the hardware, for example, is made, all the production, then the use of this hardware, then the operations of the people that is working to operate the system, and the final use of the system, all the information that gives that system. So looking over from the perspective of life cycle assessment, it make it more difficult to do it. But even though that we knew that it was the right way to do it. Then the second insight that I have to bring here is how we can get the data. So we already know what we wanted to get and how we're gonna do it in a life cycle assessment, but how we gonna get the data. And from this, we had to adjust our common way to do it. That is, of course, asking to the IT systems, like the specific amount, for example, of energy that is used during a year from a specific IT system. And we conduct an interviews with some people from the DMP, actually, and they already know that it was difficult to have this information disaggregated. Normally in Colombia, the institutions that had IT systems immersed in their institutions, they make like environmental plan for the institution as a building, as an institution in a whole way. But no, they don't have disaggregated this kind of information and this very specific information in the detail of the operations of these organizations. So we have to adapt this quantitative information to a qualitative information through the tool of surveys that Felipe told us, and we have to adjust as well our questions to make it simple for the people. So we want to know in the same areas, greenhouse gases, emissions, water use, and circularity, different questions, very simple to understand and very simple to answer all the people that are going to be interviewed in the project. In this way, we make the first adjustment of the methodology, that is change the quantitative to a qualitative evaluation or qualitative input data that make us to quantify or qualify the different levels of sustainability. And this follow us to the third point, and is how the rubrics help us. So we already had the qualitative information for 110 IT systems, and we have to change a little bit the rubrics and change also the categorization. So in the methodology of the footprint, ecological footprint institutions, we have four or five categories, and from the answers of the systems, we already know that we couldn't have the first of the top, the most environmental categories as a restoration, or not get an impact like the net zero impact. and that was impossible for our evaluation. So we focus on the next 3 that was above them, and then we did a division between them to express better and to give a better results of the impact evaluation, and that's how the rubric helped us. Actually, is one for us was essential to have this methodology and to also have the opportunity to change a little bit this typology to reflect better the environmental impact. And this gives us the next point, and it's how we combine or how we can be advise the evaluation teams that are looking for integrate environmental perspective in their projects. So for us, first of all, is to be open to change the initial plan. So our initial plan was to have a very rigorous and very exact, accurate measure, but at the end, we have to adjust and adapt to the big project that is the other part that the project make. That was the information of the IT systems per se. So don't wait for the perfect data. That's one of our teachings. Because we can use transparent assumptions, and we can build robust evidence to base that narrative, and to better in the next evaluation we can make it more accurate, or we can change, or we can have more information to have a better or more accurate results. But at least now, for example, Colombia has the first results of this impact evaluation with qualitative information. Yes, there is not something that we technical people that working in environmental measurement would like, but is something that gave us the first clues of what we have to do. So now, for example, the DMP knows what are the not only the system but also the institutions that has an opportunity to improve, or that has an opportunity to get a little bit more to have another level of sustainability more higher than now. So this is my considerations. The last thing, Anna, it's very important to engage environmental experts from the design phase. So, for example, it's something that Felipe said, that it's very important to have someone that really understands what they gonna do and what are the implications and what are the how we can play with the data, how we can make different roads to get to something significant that is not perfect, but is the first step of a big plan or of a big change. For example, in this case, in the environmental impact of the institutions and IT systems.
Thank you, Viviana.
Thank you.
That was it, right? Did I interpret? Yeah. Okay. So, it was very exciting to hear from the ground how you approached the task of applying the theoretical concepts in practice. And just to recognize this, it's the first exercise of this kind, not just in Colombia, but globally. So it's very impressive how you approached this. So I'm also recognizing this. Okay, so having heard the experience from those implementing the approach in the field, I'm now very excited to hear from the author of the approach from the Footprint Evaluation Initiative about your learnings. And yes, so I'm happy to present Jane Davidson to you. She's the co-founder from Footprint Evaluation Initiative, and she is best known for developing evaluation rubrics methodology, for which she received AEA's Paul Lazarsfield's Evaluation Theory Award in 2019. As a founder of Footprint Evaluation, she develops practical tools and approaches and supports decision makers to consider both sustainability and equity in all of their investments and systems. And she is here with Thomas. He has Thomas Cianca. He has been working for over 25 years in M&E and focuses mostly on enhancing the impact and learning capacities of philanthropic, government, international development, NGO, and corporate clients. And he is collaborating with Footprint Evaluation Initiative in its crusade to include environmental sustainability in all evaluations. So I hand over to you.
Thank you, Anna. I just want to check my microphone's working okay. It's okay, good. All right, so thank you so much to those who have already spoken. It's just been great to just set the context and hear how it was from your experience. So just kicking off from the Footprint Evaluation team, we'd just like to start by acknowledging that we all live, work, and learn on the traditional and ancestral land of Indigenous peoples, wherever we are. We recognise the sovereignty of Indigenous people who have lived in kinship with and served as stewards of this land, water, and air for thousands of years. So I wanted to just kick off by explaining a little bit about the Footprint Evaluation Initiative for those of you who may not be familiar. So Footprint Evaluation was established in 2019 by Andy Rowe, Patricia Rogers, Dugan Fraser, and myself. Early on, we worked with a distinguished group of thought partners to figure out the right focus, as well as close collaborators Kay Stevens and Alice McFarlane. More recently, Thomas Cianca has joined the core team, and he, Andy, and me and I are leading the movement right now. So, of course, alongside our great collaborators, including DVAL and various other folks. So over the past 5 years, we've been working, we have to say, mostly pro bono because we just love this stuff so much and want to do good things for the planet, in four main areas. So one is around sharing free tools, materials, and resources to help evaluators and organizations consider sustainability in all of their evaluations and decision making. Secondly, we've been doing, which is what this project is about, working directly with these front-runner organizational partners to help them infuse sustainability into evaluation and decision-making right across their portfolios. So we want to acknowledge these front-runners who have been very keen users of this. We've also been sharing the knowledge with folks like yourselves who are interested to learn, mostly through conferences and webinars, including Glocal Evaluation Week, of course, which is a great platform. And we've also been grabbing opportunities to support collaborators around us to pass this knowledge on to others so that we can spread the word faster and help many more evaluators and organizations get up to speed on this. So we'll come back to this a little bit later and talk about our plans for the future. But first, I guess let's kick off with why are we doing this and what's the point? So if you think about our history with equity, for example, which would you say have done the most harm to marginalized groups? Programs that have equity objectives or programs that had no equity objectives? The ones with no equity objectives, right? So you won't be surprised to know that by far the worst damage to natural systems comes as a side impact of policies, programs, industries, and other human activity other than environment-focused efforts. When evaluation fails to draw attention to that harm, we're actually helping to perpetuate it. Think about all those policies and programs that were never evaluated for equity and continue to harm Indigenous peoples, other people of colour, women and girls, LGBTQIA+ folks, people with disabilities, and many other marginalised groups. So that's why it's now routine to consider equity in all evaluations, and that's why the same thing needs to happen for considering the environment. Let me put this another way. When we routinely ignore an important domain of outcomes, i.e. natural system effects, we're actually misevaluating policies and programs. So in that sense, evaluation often contributes to worsening environmental systems by keeping decision makers in the dark about natural system impacts. So we need to fix that. Let's talk about how we do it. Footprint, as I mentioned, has an extensive collection of ideas and resources, so we're going to highlight 3 of them today. Our first tip is to prioritize influencing how decision makers think. Let me explain what I mean about that. Most evaluations tend to focus on instrumental use, which is about making improvements to the current policy or initiative. But when we think about the long game here, what's more important is that decision makers experience light bulb moments that they can never unsee. So that means that even if it's not possible to change whatever's being evaluated right now, they can still take these insights into future policy making and initiative design, and that'll have a greater impact long term. So let me give you an example from this Colombian government IT system evaluation. In looking at the life cycle assessments that Viviana was talking about, the analysis that they did showed that 80% of the greenhouse gas emissions are connected to the supply chains rather than the current use. So doing smart procurement to try and find more sustainably manufactured and designed systems can not only reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, but it can also help reduce e-waste, because you can also buy IT systems that are better able to be recycled, repurposed, and disposed of in an environmentally sensible way. Now, what's the best way to create those light bulb moments? One thing to think about here is that actually less is more. So if we try and include every single environmental issue that we can think of, stakeholders' eyes are going to glaze over and they're going to tune out. But if we pick 2 or 3 important environmental issues and explain them well, we can influence decision makers' thinking rather than overwhelming them. So here are 5 ways to figure out what to focus on. And I'm going to give for each one of those an example from Colombia's evaluation of government IT systems. So the first was, pick issues that are currently high on the radar. For example, government, sector, or organizational priorities. Because if these are high on the radar already, your audience is more likely to pay attention to them. Secondly, identify issues that are relevant not just for the initiative or the system being evaluated, but much more widely, because that means that many more people will be able to use the insights that you come up with. Third thing, focus on the most important environmental impacts. They'll either be the largest effects or the impacts on critical or threatened parts of the ecosystem. Look for potential light bulb moments that decision makers will remember and use, like the example I gave before, the realization that procurement is a hugely powerful way of reducing environmental impact. And finally, look for issues at the nexus that where human systems and natural systems affect each other so much, because that's where the right decisions can actually benefit both human systems and natural systems. So in this case, improve the functional efficiency as well as the environmental efficiency. So that makes it easier also to get buy-in by showing people a win-win about things that they care about in both areas. So I'm going to hand over to Tomas, and he's going to talk a bit about how we get clear on these conclusions.
Thank you, Jane, and all the colleagues who preceded me. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. So, as evaluators, one of the key responsibilities that we have is to ensure that the conclusions we reach at the end of an evaluation are crystal clear, so that decision makers can fully understand the severity of any impacts that they are causing on natural systems. And how do we do that? So we are using at the moment what we call the footprint evaluation typology. This typology was originally developed by Andy Rowe, who is coming right after me, and other colleagues, for an evaluation of smallholder adaptation to climate for the International Fund for Agricultural Development, or IFAD. The typology has 4 categories to classify the projects. The first one and top one is it's when the project is helping to restore the natural environment. So that's the green zone on this double-edged arrow that you're seeing here to the right. And usually very few projects actually are doing that, unfortunately. So the second level is the neutral level that we call it, meaning that it's causing no harm, but it's neither restoring offsets of any harm. So that's the grayish zone there. So it's no number of projects, initiatives may be doing that. The third one, it's when the initiative or project or whatever you're looking at are taking some actions to reduce the harm they're doing, but are still damaging. So that's the orange zone, and most projects are in this category. Or, in the worst case scenario, it's ignoring completely the natural systems and are causing serious damage to it. So unfortunately, some projects and initiatives are still on that category. So let's take a look at how the typology was applied to the evaluation of the IT systems managed by the Colombian government, the evaluation that was just described by Felipe and Viviana. So the evaluation was primarily focused on efficiency and effectiveness, and the sustainability element was an add-on to that evaluation. So when the evaluation team surveyed 110 governmental entities, they included 10 multiple choice questions specifically on sustainability. So the 10 sustainability relevant questions covered 4 key areas: energy or greenhouse gases emissions, water consumption, circularity or electronic waste, and the general systems. It's a more generic criterion that included, for example, having an environmental management plan in place for the entity. So to help the evaluation team interpret the survey results, we created rubrics that match the survey answers with ratings. So for example, the water efficiency rubric shows whether an agency's IT systems were either benefiting the environment, being neutral, doing no harm, or benefiting, doing something about sustainability, although they are still somewhat harmful to the environment, or are completely ignoring the sustainability. So we don't expect you to read all this, but this is the overall rubric that was created, and I'm going to explain just a little bit more in the next slide. So to crunch the numbers, so we are using the survey results to assess the evaluation. So we have created what we call an algorithm for combining the answers to the 3 questions that were concerned about specifically water consumption into a specific rating. So, for instance, if an entity answered yes to all three questions related to this topic, meaning that they have an ongoing water conservation and efficient program use, and the IT team has participated in campaigns on water conservation and efficient use, and third, they have calculated the water footprint of the building where the IT systems are located, then the entity is considered to have strong sustainable practices, meaning that it's doing what it can, but it may still be causing some environmental harm. Since the 10 multiple choice questions didn't ask about restorative actions, we could not assess whether any entity was being restorative or causing no net harm. But we've included these levels in the rubric to signal to decision makers that without restorative practices, achieving no net harm simply isn't possible. And that's because IT systems by nature are inherently harmful to the environment, given that the emissions, water use, and relatively low recyclability involved in manufacturing, transportation, operations, and disposal of IT equipments and peripherals. For instance, to do zero environmental harm on energy, greenhouse gases emissions, the entire power source to feed the IT systems would need to be from renewable energy, which is not possible given the energy sources that currently feed the Colombian power grid. Similarly, while some hardware can be recycled, it's not possible to achieve zero electronic waste through repurposing or recycling. So that's an example where an evaluation can still provide useful insights even on issues that weren't specifically included in data collection. So here is a representation of the results that applying the rubrics to the typology provided to these evaluations. So the typology analysis showed that the vast majority of the agencies were using at least some sustainable practices, while only a few seem to be ignoring sustainability altogether. We also found that 3 entities were rated as using strong sustainable practices on all 4 rubrics that we developed. And that highlights an opportunity to share their best practices with others, of course. Finally, since the beginning, the Colombian government wanted an important part of this collaboration to help develop their capacity on sustainability inclusive evaluation. So with support from DEVAL, Anna here representing it, we run a series of workshops for different ministries, monitoring, evaluation, and research staff, and local evaluators, environmental organizations, and academics who work with the Colombian government. With a strengthened understanding of footprint evaluation principles and approaches, the government is better equipped to start infusing sustainability in all evaluations they sponsor. So I'm going to turn now, back to Anna briefly to introduce Andy, but Andy is going to come right after Anna reads his little bio. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Very insightful. I think your illustration really brings life into this technical concept. Thank you for that. And yes, I have the honor to present Andy to you. Andy Rowe is fellow and former president of the Canadian Evaluation Society. Now focusing on environmental sustainability, he initiated CES efforts to mainstream sustainability in evaluation in Canada, and is a founder of Footprint Evaluation Initiative and former member of a reference group of the Adaptation Fund. Andy, we're very eager to hear from your side, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Anna. And thanks to DVAL for the support. You know, I've been doing evaluation for a long time, and sometimes in evaluation, you get to participate in an innovative and successful endeavor. And this was one. This has been a high point of all the time I spent in evaluation. And what makes it a really high point is that what has been shown, what has been presented to you, is that we can do this. It's confirmation of the proof of the concept that we can infuse sustainability in evaluation without blowing the timeline or breaking the budget, as others have presented. And importantly, too, it shows that country-led evaluation can do this, and that this has two important observations. One is that country-led evaluation can be extremely high quality, extremely relevant, and very useful. And that the capacities to undertake inclusion of sustainability are not that hard to achieve, that it's quite possible to form evaluation teams and competencies in ministries that can do this. All of this resided in Colombia, it was done by Colombians, and we only provided very limited support for it, although we have a general framework that is available. One of the things we contributed to ensuring the feasibility is this, as we calmed the fears of DNP, of the consultants, that there would be this huge primary data collection required for this. Most of the information exists, most of the methodologies exist. It's a matter of bringing it together, as Viviana has described. And then one of the things we did very concretely was what Thomas has described, is bridging the information that was available and could be collected to drawing clear evaluative conclusions as represented in that typology. Another takeaway that is really important and of general applicability is that co-generation is really important. We did capacity building. The capacity building was applied and used by the consultants and by DNP, working together with some contributions from us. But the co-generation amongst the whole community that was involved in this evaluation was a very valuable way to go forward and to bring life to this, and to really build the enthusiasm and confidence that sustainability inclusive evaluation is possible. Can we go to the next slide, please? Jane talked about light bulb moments, and here's our key notes on that. But we have to catch up to where we are. We no longer have to convince people that environment and sustainability should be part of evaluation. The climate crisis, the environmental crisis, the equity crisis are asserting themselves very firmly and clearly, so that we now can have these discussions about how to do it much more easily than we even 5 years ago. And Jane spoke to how bringing equity into evaluation was a struggle that took quite a while, but it is now there. The struggle to bring sustainability into evaluation will be much less challenging because environment and climate are firmly asserting themselves. The struggles for decent life and justice are undercut by environmental inequity. And the struggles for environment are impaired by poverty and inequity. That is the reality of polycrisis. We cannot achieve equity without environmental sustainability. We cannot achieve environmental sustainability without equity. Evaluations and interventions that operate with a mindset of either or. We can have environment, or we can have economy, or we can have equity. That's the evaluation, business as usual evaluation. We need to change that to substitute and, the word and, for the word or, so that we pursue in evaluation and in interventions, we are after equity and environment and economy. We need to pursue these win-win solutions that Jane spoke of, and if we replace or with and, as in equity and environment, we recognize that the evaluand, in whatever it is, whether or not it has explicit environmental outcomes or not, all interventions are operating in the zone of coupled human and natural systems. And we need the mindset using and or evaluation to play a positive role in resolving polycrisis, so that evaluation is no longer providing incorrect assessments that contribute to the deepening of polycrisis, but actually contribute to the resolution and the advancement and the diminution of polycrisis. Can I have my third slide, please? Simple reality check. Imagine your evaluation practice in 5 to 10 years. And really 5 years, that takes us to the period when critical environmental systems are forecast to reach levels of impairment from which reversal is not possible. This is enshrined in the Sustainable Development Goals with the 2030 agenda. They're enshrined in the Paris Accord with 2030 as the threshold when we have to achieve important environmental outcomes. So the sustainability inclusive task is urgent. And in Colombia, Ipsos, CarbonBox, and DVAL should be commended for their leadership in actually showing that this is within reach, that is technically feasible, and is entirely relevant and possible to achieve such high quality evaluations as they achieved in Colombia. And we should be optimistic. Not only do we have Colombia leading the way, but we have things like an IFAD thematic evaluation of smallholder climate adaptation. 30% of the countries we included in this evaluation were already achieving do no harm levels, which is remarkable because they're talking about agriculture, which, like IT, is inherently harmful to the environment. We have the work that we're doing in footprint evaluation, a blue marble evaluation of the Department of Monitoring Evaluation of South Africa, and very importantly, the work of the Colombian government and the consultants is showing us that sustainability inclusive evaluation is already technically and operationally feasible and can be undertaken without blowing the budgets or timelines, can be achieved within existing timelines and budgets. And importantly, it's showing that country-led evaluation is proving to be a rich venue for sustainability inclusive evaluation and for developing the capacities and practices that we need to contribute to pushing polycrisis back, to ensuring that we always address equity and sustainability in ways that turn on light bulb moments for decision makers. So I want to close my small bit on this. Is Footprint really welcomes opportunities to assist partner organizations who want to make evaluation a resource for addressing polycrisis. So if you're interested in this, or if you want to engage with us in doing this, please do not hesitate to join us. The time to gear up for this is now. The time for doing it is now. We need to recognize the urgency of the 5-year window we have remaining for addressing this. So thank you.
Thank you, Andy, for this appealing words and this call for action. We have like a little bit more than 10 minutes left for questions. I hope you took a lot of notes and comments, and we want to invite you to share those with us. Maybe we can, I see the PowerPoint still, maybe we can unshare this screen. So if someone would like to even open the mic or video, you're very much welcomed. And maybe in the meantime, while you are writing down your question, I have one linking to Andy's last input. And I would like to ask, how would you advise another evaluation agency that would like to embark on a similar journey? What would you like to give them on a way? Maybe this is a question for Footprint Evaluation Initiative, if you would like to start, and if others want to join, of course, or complement. But yes, I don't know, maybe Jane or... Yes, Jane.
How did I end up in the hot seat? I actually think that, this project that we've been working on with the good people from Colombia it's been a model that we've used in a couple of other circumstances, and it seems to work quite well. To just dip your toe in the water to try and just see how feasible is this and what would it take. Usually it starts with just maybe some introductory little seminars to get a few people up to speed on what is this all about and to get people's heads into it. And then we feel like one of the best ways to learn is to learn by doing and to involve a lot of people as much as possible. And so just pick a great project and get some support to just try this out. We'd actually recommend doing, you can try out one project, but when you're getting serious about it, we recommend doing maybe 2 or 3 projects so that are quite different from each other, that can show the different ways in which this can work, because then I think that helps people visualize what it can look and feel like, and it also proves that it's feasible for different kinds of projects. I think the thing that we've, learned from all this, and I'm sure we knew that before, but it doesn't matter where you go, that there are people who have the right mix of expertise. It's kind of easy for us who are working in the evaluation. We're kind of surrounded by human systems folks. So we know all those people and we think, oh, how are we going to ever find it? But whatever expertise you're looking for in this world, if you just knuckle down and go look for it, you can find it. There are people out there who are very good at where they have this expertise. And, as with the folks that we've worked with here, have that boundary spanning ability. So, Felipe was talking about, having IT expertise plus the environmental expertise and being able to bring that together. It's always so once you kind of enable that network to be able to do it, I think it makes it feel really doable. I think once you've done some sample projects, then the next thing to do is to think, okay, how well are all of our evaluation systems set up to be conducive for this kind of work? Sometimes there are systemic or structural barriers in the way that we commission evaluations or scope them or do them, or what kinds of expertise we are usually hiring in our consultant pool. So there are some things to do to change the system there. One thing Colombia did very well that I thought was super insightful was to include the capacity development opportunities, to invite the consulting pool that they already use to come and join them and learn some more about this. I mean, you can't commission evaluation if you don't have people who know what you want and can then come and bring those skills to the mix. So I think this was a really good example. So hopefully others will be inspired to jump in as well.
Thank you, Jane. Also inviting our audience, if you have a question, please take up your hand and we will enable your microphone so you can share your question with us. I though have another question for Jeff, because as you mentioned, Jane, just getting started. I would like to know what could be different criteria that can be considered when choosing an evaluation to integrate sustainability. What were the things that made you choose the evaluation to try out the footprint evaluation within that one particular? So if you have some tips and tricks, like we say it in German, please.
Okay, thank you, Anna, for the question. We think we need to the main value for at the environmental criteria is to choose a correct data. See, for us applying the footprint approach for the first time was a significant challenge. However, we see not only as a learning experience, but also is a value opportunity to others to include, for example, this approach. And on experience demonstrate that even with the limited resource, it's possible to integrate sustainability if you have correct data. First of all, you start to prioritize this collaboration with the institutions, with the data, and try to use, for example, in case where you complete the data is not available, you use approximately an estimate. You can use interviews, you use qualitative and quantitative methodologies. We also conduct interviews with a technical lead and institutions. Or another tip, you use, for example, select a correct indicators. It's difficult, and maybe Viviana and Felipe try to explain more than me, but I think you need to provide the correct information data. And I think for National Planning Department, it was a really challenge this, but I think if this opportunity to this result of this evaluation, take the opportunity to integrate a different development on this evaluation. Start with available data, engaging with the technical expert is very important to use or collaborate with the technical, Felipe say that, but it's very important to select a good expert to tell us which is the approach, the footprint approach, and try to also let advance and perfect data to approximate and stakeholder validation. Finally, the focus on building internal capacity to scale the approach in the future evaluation. I think this is the final my final intervention is you need to focus to internal capacity for in your team and select a proper expert to know what is the principal question and who is the answer to this question.
Thank you, Jeff. I see your hand, Viviana. You want to compliment?
Yes, I want to compliment something, and is that this for us could be like a emergent solution. I mean, we didn't realize that until we have in that problem of data that it was enough. So we just find a solution. And I think this is the message for me in this case. Like, as I said before, don't wait until the data is perfect. Sometimes you just have to find a way, even though it's not the thing that you wanted to have, but it's the first step. And even though the uncertainty of the calculations, for example, could increase, but in another evaluation, it's going to be better. So it's just a start, as Jane said, like find projects, find something or a pilot to implement the methodology. And I think that when you are there, knowing all the context and knowing what is the data you need, you will have the way to solve it.
Thank you, Viviana. We are almost at an end, so I will
maybe. Sorry, and a few words. And maybe the first step for me is challenge yourself and take that initiative and start. Mm-hmm. It's the first step to tune into the first tip is challenge yourself and start.
Yes, that's true. So yeah, I will hand over to Andy. You might very briefly in 1 minute make some final words, but I also want to give Felipe from Ipsos afterwards the chance in 1 minute to make some last words as well. But first, Andy, you have the challenge.
Very
Time
quickly,
yes.
I think DMP, Ipsos, and CarbonBox, there's a lot to learn from their characteristics and the way they approach this that can be generalized and go into our knowledge on how to do this. And we're often concerned with scaling, but here we're concerned with replication. And I think that the efforts of DVAL, DMP, Ipsos, and CarbonBox can be replicated, and I think they were exemplary. One of the people has spoken about information, and there's just one point of the function of boundary spanners, how one thing that these external people like footprint evaluation can provide. Viviana was concerned about a counterfactual to carbon consumption. So all we did was connect her to a global expert on energy consumption who confirmed what she had suspected was there is no counterfactual that really applies to Colombia. So what they have lays the footprint, lays the foundation for future evaluations of sustainability, environmental sustainability of IT systems. And that's as good as we can do at this stage. And I want to congratulate and thank everyone who was involved in it.
Thank you, Andy. So, Felipe, if you have a last advice you want to share within 1 minute, you're very much welcome as well to.
Thank you, Anna. No, I just want to thank you guys for being part of this project. As I mentioned, it was very exciting to have the chance of implementing this type of methodology in Colombia for the first time, and hopefully this will be enlightening as well for all the attendance to this workshop. As you could see, a lot of things needed to happen to carry out this evaluation, and with all of these organizations and all these expertise and also the funding support that we had from DMP was very important. So hopefully there will be a useful example for all the people that are interested in this topic to carry out these types of evaluation. And thank you again, guys, for inviting Ipsos, CarbonBox, and Joviplex to be part of this initiative.
No, thank you for participating. And with that, we want to come to an end. We have 1 minute left. It was very great listening to your reflections and insights. And what we see here, I think, in the representation of panelists is that we applied a unique multi-stakeholder approach. And having this approach and also building on long-standing and trustful relationships, I think were very key for the success of this exercise. And I think what became very clear today is that incorporating sustainability into any type of evaluation, even an evaluation on IT system, is not only feasible, but can be done in an efficient way. And yes, this journey has been marked by collaboration, complementarity, high commitment and dedication to try out new innovative approaches and to contribute to shaping sustainable solutions to pressing current public crisis. And yes, by showing that this can be done, we want to motivate others that want to embark on a similar journey. And as Andy said, we are always eager to connect with others and the endeavor of incorporating sustainability into the evaluation. So yeah, this is an invitation to create spaces for dialogue, for learning, for support, to incorporate sustainability systematically into all types of evaluations. So thank you. But I see also, Jeff, you want to share?
Oh, no? Yeah, my final intervention, sorry. As a final note, we encourage you to visit Synergia and visit the final result for this evaluation. I think is a biggest tip. Consult the Synergia, Felipe and I final this process, and you consult the result for learn and this how do you apply this approach in Colombia for the first time.
Thank you, Jeff. Very, very key. So please visit the internet site and Footprint has also a lot of resources online that are free, accessible. So yes, go and check them out. Thank you. And Felipe, you want to share a resource or no?
No, sorry.
Okay. So thank you and have a lovely evening, day, bye-bye, wherever you are.
Morning.
Great.
Morning.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. Facilitation.
No.
And
thank you, Anna. Thank you so much.
Yeah, much appreciated. Great seeing you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Very nice seeing you.
Great.
Been a pleasure. Bye now.